Okay, so we are here with the North Node, South Node series. Yay! Saturn series is done because that is so depressing. But our North Node and South Node placements are really important in our chart, or important in our chart. So the North Node is basically where we are trying to head towards in this lifetime, what is going to bring us more soul fulfillment, because it's kind of far away from us. It feels kind of scary and intimidating, but it is something that we kind of yearn for and want deep down inside. And it might be the secret sauce to how you actually get what you want in life if you are actually doing the work or being brave or moving towards this North Node placement, whichever zodiac sign yours is in, as well as which house it is in as well. Those two things are going to give you the clues for your personalized North Node kind of explanation, and always think about your whole natal chart and your unique planetary placements and aspects, and how they combine, and think of the transits that are going on right now in the world. Not everyone is the same age, so things are hitting at different life stages for each and every one of you, and that is going to determine, also depending on what choices you made during those times, what kind of path you're going to be taking. Or what opportunities open up for you or are kind of blocked for you. And our South Node placement is basically where we're super comfortable in. It's like we don't even have to try. It's common sense. It's almost like street smart, like you just know it and you don't really know why, whether you believe in past lifetimes and you've mastered this area in life for many rounds of life, and you got it so down that you are beyond the PhD of your South Node. You could write the book of your South Node placement. Or you can think of it as like just during childhood, you just naturally took on this, archetype and role, without anyone trying to tell you what to do or told you anything. You just did it unconsciously. This is where you are super comfortable. It is, where you kind of cling on to or go to all the time because you just know it. You know it so well. Just like all of us with our strengths and weaknesses, will tend to go towards what we're good at more so than what we suck at, and so don't forget to work on your weaknesses, work on things that you're not the best at, even though you need extra help or tutoring or research and you have to practice, like every spare moment that you have, work on your weaknesses, a little bit. Doesn't mean you have to be perfect. Doesn't mean you need to master it or anything like that. But this is kind of relating to moving towards that North Node to feel more fulfilled, more happy, getting what you ended up wanting, even though that took you many years, you're slowly just moving in that direction. So your South Node is kind of like you're just so used to doing this area of life so much. You are like the master of your South Node. I forgot what I already said. But your south node is just where you're super comfortable at, where you have lived many, many lifetimes as this archetype. And so you don't need to learn anymore about that. You've done it, you've been there, done that, and now you're kind of bored spiritually, and you want to try something that feels kind of like out of the box, and that is your north node placement. So it's really good for your spiritual and soul growth, and practicing not staying stuck, so yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So now we're going to go through each of the zodiac signs. We're going to start with Aries, or first house. So check out both your zodiac sign of where your north node is, as well as the house. Whatever zodiac sign that house, that zodiac represents, check out that area as well for more clues if you are doing the research all by yourself. So good luck and see you. So north node in Scorpio, south node in Taurus. So for this one, if you believe in past lives, or just think of your childhood, or kind of what you kind of feel very comfortable with, Taurus is kind of the archetype of where you feel really comfortable. And now it's no longer fulfilling, it's kind of boring, or you just need some kind of change or growth. And so in this lifetime, you are moving towards that north node in Scorpio. So what is the energy or archetype of Taurus? So it is pleasantness. It is feeling very comfortable, having enough money and security, emotional security, to just kind of be able to do what you want and not really stress about being able to get what you want necessarily, because Taurus is the sign of your personal finances, the personal things that you own, because that's related to your personal finance of what you can afford to own, as well as your self-value, self-esteem, or what you believe you are. How are you valuable? And most people think value or self-value is in connection to what they physically own. So if you feel like if you are a valuable person in those terms, then you have a very expensive house, or you have high-end brand name things, therefore you must be a valuable person. But that's not necessarily true. You can be a very valuable person and not actually own or possess or make that choice to own things like that, because it's not actually a direct correlation to value and worth. A lot of people who have a lot of material things and very expensive possessions don't really have much to bring to the table, or, that's always a it depends answer. And people who will find that out in their personal relationships. So that's kind of the gist of that. Taurus is also the fixed earth sign. So being an earth sign already and being a fixed sign, this is one of the most stubborn signs of the zodiac. It's kind of think of it like, who would want to leave or choose to let go of being very comfortable? Like, why would someone choose on purpose to kind of not, have the security of food or be able to buy whatever they want? It doesn't necessarily have to be expensive or anything, but it's just like, you don't have to do the penny pinching kind of thing. As well as just feeling nice, like, doesn't everyone want to feel nice, pretty much at all times, all the time, all times, all the time. So that's kind of the energy of Taurus, is kind of also thinking of doing the bare minimum. It's like, that's uncomfortable. Why stress out? Why overwork yourself? Why do this? Why do that? If it's, not pleasant, because doing all those things is extra. So it is not pleasant because it's not comfortable, and Taurus wants to be comfortable. Taurus energy can also have this feeling of kind of they know everything because they've kind of found their stability and security to where they just know the formula, they know the process, this is how it's done, there's no other way to do it or go around doing it or whatever. And so they can have this kind of approach or attitude of kind of being a little snooty or stuck up as if they know everything. And that is a mentality that they have to change going towards that North Node in Scorpio, is that it is really good to branch out and explore other forms of knowledge or how other people do things, or there's not just one way of doing things. Like your way of finding value and stability, or collecting finance in whatever way, does not have to be the approach and way that you're used to. You can learn from other people and how they have gathered their resources, or how they've kind of transformed their situation in order to feel secure and stable. So you need other people in order to grow and expand spiritually, financially, knowledge base, all this stuff. So that is something to kind of keep in mind if you feel that you have some challenges with being stuck, or kind of perceiving things kind of like within a box, and not outside, branching outside of that box or that comfortable bubble. So that's kind of the Taurus energy. Moving towards Scorpio energy, the basis of Scorpio energy is change and transformation at a very deep level. It has this kind of waves of ups and downs, ups and downs. That's how it might feel like. What it may be perceived on the outside or from other people is normal. That is a normal human experience. Life is full of ups and downs and challenges. It's not easy if you were born a human being. We go through all of these things, especially in this time period, until maybe one day, way far down the line, humanity has elevated their consciousness and there's no such thing as wars. Everything is abundant, so abundant to where it's already pleasant. You don't even have to question anything because everything is one. Everything is kind of, you're just being, you're in peace. But if you're a human being, you're going to go through all of that stuff. So depending on what you choose in this lifetime to do, like if you choose to have children, that is going to be a significant game changer in how you perceive, how you learn. You're learning through a different lens. If anything, your child is probably teaching you so much more, not only about yourself, but about all the things that they are experiencing. And now you're experiencing that from a second source instead of yourself. You're experiencing that yourself too, of course. But if you didn't have that powerful bond and closeness to your own child, or, if you choose an adopted child or foster child, you are learning through that other being, and so that can be, very transformative to who you are as a person, as well as all the things that are connected with that. It doesn't have to be with a child per se. It can be with anything, whatever route, this is for you. I can't come up with all the different scenarios there are because there's billions and billions of people in the world. And, you are a sector of this North Node in Scorpio, but you are moving through very intense waves of powerful change and transformation in some sort of way, and almost feeling like a part of you is dying and then being reborn, or a part of your old sense of perception, belief systems, how you operate, how you actually interact with others, interact with your close partnerships and friends, how you interact with your kids if you have any, or your parents. If you had some kind of idealistic or, superficial, Taurus can have this superficiality to it. You're going to be transitioning through maybe shedding skin, or metaphorically speaking, or shedding, old versions of yourself that are outdated now, because you're going through these new, very deep and powerful experiences that is just kind of forcing you to become a new person, over time. That North Node is going to feel very foreign and scary and intimidating, especially a Scorpio South Node. North Node is already like a very intimidating sign because it's very deep and very vulnerable. It's not afraid to get deep and real. Learning to not be afraid of asking very deep questions, for example, not being afraid to look like a fool, or actually say what you mean to say, or believe and speak and defend yourself, be vulnerable, in that sort of sense, can be very transformative for a person, because then you're kind of possibly rocking the boat, or creating discomfort, or challenging the norm or belief system, or advocating for yourself, which might mean someone is going to be upset with you, or someone is going to challenge your belief systems, or challenge what you believe is to be the way things should be, and maybe the way you believe that is the right way. But it can take so many different directions. Whatever I have no idea what I have no idea who you are. You may know certain things that, just makes the whole system, relationships, whatever category, better. But maybe you withhold that information, for whatever reasons, or there's fear behind that. And so perhaps what you're learning to do in this lifetime is moving towards, not being afraid to speak what you know, or at least, verbalize it or express it in some sort of way, because there's a greater purpose to it. And, maybe some people won't like you, or, friends groups are going to say mean things about you, or whatever it is. But learning to do that anyways, and maybe learning from it, because maybe, you have some good, valid points, and maybe you have some perspectives that need tweaking yourselves, so it's all about change and transformation. And Scorpio energy is also other people's resources, what other people know. It can be other people's actual physical income, or learning to be having to live and trust someone else to take care of you, instead of having your own personal financial stability, which is Taurus energy is more of your personal finances. Scorpio energy is like someone else's finances. And maybe that's very uncomfortable. You might not feel safe, or like, oh my God, I have to actually trust this person to really take care of us, or all of us if you have family members, and really trust that person to do that, which can be this kind of tug of war feeling with these two money houses of your own finances, and you kind of want to hold on to that because that's what makes you feel good, makes you feel secure, and you get to kind of spend however you want because it's your money, but if you were to get married, whichever gender, you can associate with, if you're now being dependent on somebody else's finances, now you kind of feel like you have to really trust them, or, you have to have almost permission to kind of spend on some things. If they're higher end products, they might not like it. All this kind of, it's like a little push-pull dynamic. So that can happen as well. It doesn't have to, but that's like another, scenario. But it's also about moving towards what other people have to offer. What is their resources? So it doesn't have to be material or actual physical. It can be their knowledge. What do they have, like tips and tricks, or maybe experience, and what they're able to give to you so you can grow and learn. You can't, have this assumption that you know everything and you don't need anyone because you're good. In this lifetime, you're going to be either forced to, reach out, befriend, not isolate yourself, possibly, or, just associate with people who are just like you. You're going to have to branch out and associate with people who are different from you in order to learn certain things that they actually have value to, but it's just different sources of value than what you grew up with or what you perceived to be of value. And now your kind of perception of what value truly is perhaps will change. Maybe you were very materialistic and idealistic at one point in time, and you kind of grew out of that over the many years, and you realize that it's nice, but there's not true value in just materialism and idealism, or putting on that facade to the world that I am of high value when you actually don't know as much as you think that you know. So true value now gets a new definition for depending on where you're at in life. So that is kind of the main premises of that North Node in Scorpio. And check out which house placement this is playing out in for yourself, because that's also going to give you a clue, or depending, because nobody can like tell you how your worldview is or how you feel and all that stuff. So sometimes, learning about this stuff, learning about astrology and the archetypes and what they really represent can give you a deeper insight as to, how you're perceiving the world, or what do you need to learn, or what is your strengths and weaknesses, and kind of creating your own understanding of what that is for you. Because there's only so much that I can kind of give out to you. But it is always very validating when some stranger on the internet says something that really, really resonates with what you're going through. It's very healing. And so we always kind of, sometimes, not always, seek things like that out over and over and over again. But you have to learn to be independent and do those things on your own as well, or seek maturity in how you go about that, because it is good to be independent, but at the same time allow a lot of various perspectives and knowledge to help you grow and evolve. And then you're going to, it's going to be like a weird, very organic evolvement, because there's nothing that's really black and white with all of this stuff. So That is my video, I guess, with North Node, South Node, North Node, Scorpio, South Node in Taurus. So try to embrace the discomfort. Moving towards North Node in Scorpio can also be moving towards deep psychology. I knew this was going to happen. I was like, this is too short of a video for me. I'm missing something. So Scorpio is also like deep psychology, the occult, esoteric, things that are kind of taboo and not, blasted on the main media or influencers, at a huge level, because it's more like hush hush or kind of weird skeletons in the closet. So you are moving towards this kind of psychological sign as well, kind of going deeper, kind of unraveling things that you kind of didn't even go there. There's nothing wrong with what level you're at, but wherever you're going, you're being forced to dig a lot deeper into something that is not as easily learned. It's not as easy to learn in a book or through someone else necessarily. It helps, but sometimes that real experience is something else, like you just know it in a different way. And hopefully this is nothing super negative for you or anything like something really scary. Because like some people with South Node and Scorpio, let's take the reverse, people who have South Node Scorpio and they're moving towards North Node Taurus, they grew up in childhood families that were very abusive, or, there's like a drunk father, or, a mother is not really there, or she's sleeping around a lot and partying all the time. And, the kids are kind of neglected to some degree. And so their perception of home and family, which is supposed to be very nurturing, pleasant, and safe in childhood, is not, And so they're learning the reverse of trying to find stability, learning to relax, and take a chill pill, and not everyone is out to get them, or everyone has an alternative motive or something like that. And learning to find peace, and their own personal stability. So y'all have the reverse of that. You don't have to go that far or anything like that, but it is kind of like you're learning things on perhaps a deeper psychological level, because it's not, you don't get things like that very easily, until you've experienced hardship, and you can become very spiritual because you go through many, many hardships, and so you kind of reach a new level of acceptance, forgiveness, compassion, maturity, self-evolution, and you always have the choice to take it a different way and seek revenge, or something else. But going through a lot of that, you could become like a healer, or there's something that you personally bring to the table now because you've been through certain experiences that not as many people go through. Or, you're a sector, of age group who have this placement along with the other placements in your natal chart. So it kind of depends. And it's kind of trying to take you somewhere to where you can find a new source of feeling fulfilled or feeling achieved, in some kind of area, or what you're able to personally go through and, still come out of, and be able to use that in some way, or produce something creatively, or teach, or, just counsel in some sort of way. Because that Scorpio energy is like a psychological counselor, esoteric astrology, tarot cards, palm reading, facial readings, mediumship, you know, star galacticy, all of this stuff, you know, like kind of exploring these things that are kind of like, ooh, you're not so sure. It's not like your stable Taurus stuff of like what you really know. You know, it's very grounded and very earthly. You know, you're going in the very metaphysical direction, possibly. So I guess that will now conclude my North Node in Scorpio. Check out my book, on my self-published book. It's out on Amazon, Trigger to Change. It's in the link in my description page if you're interested. It's like my own personal journey through various events, and it's like in a teaching kind of way, and astrology is included in there. So please check that out. Check out my other playlists down below. If you found this video informative, comment, like, and subscribe to help boost my channel, please. Okay, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Okay, bye.